Hello, you awesome friends. This is your pal, Edward here speaking, and welcome to another international interview with Edward. It's an honor having you with us, and we've got one of my wonderful friends with us. She's a wonderful actress. She starred with some incredible A-listers. She was in the hit Australian TV show Blue Heelers, and today she is a massive influencer, and she helps people become master communicators. How are you doing, Dale Stevens?
I'm doing so well. How could I not be? Because I'm here with you. I'm so excited to be interviewed by you, you legend.
Oh, Dale, it's a pleasure. I just got to talk about the elephant in the room. You're in Melbourne, Victoria right now, and I've heard you've gone into a second round of lockdown. Is that the case?
It so is. I mean, partly personally, it's not that bad because I'm an introvert, so being on my own is quite good. And also, I've found Zoom, which before coronavirus I never had. So I'm speaking to people all over the world. And when I don't think about what's happening outside and the disaster that all this is creating, I can be in my own little bubble having a great time speaking to people.
Isn't that amazing, Dale? And I've got to say, just before our call as well, when we're talking off camera, you had a virtual coffee with a new friend from Russia. Is that the case?
It so is. She was sitting in her home, I was sitting in mine, and we're chatting away about deep things, about spirituality and everything. And it was her first virtual coffee, and she was just amazing. So it's been so extraordinary. And like initially, it was kind of a business idea, is why I reached out to her. But really, in one coffee, we've really become friends.
Wow, and this is incredible, and this actually launches us into our wonderful interview. Now, you are a master persuader and communications coach. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you actually help people and what that means?
Well, for sure. I mean, what I think is that everyone is fascinating. And look, you say that all the time, Edward, with all the people that you're... people who have just got everyday lives and then become incredible influencers through your work. And it's the same with me. People are kind of pretty ordinary communicators, sometimes not too good, not too bad, but okay. And then they can become extraordinary influencers. And it's all about leveraging their personality and having their personality come out and being more them. And it takes a lot of courage, because really, coming from an acting point of view, the thing about being a great actor is being able to be unself-conscious, that you're actually living in the moment, being that character and not thinking about yourself or your performance. And it's the same with all communication. Is if you can be unself-conscious and you can be being you, and you can be really focusing on the other person, then you will create really strong relationships, and and people will be drawn to you, and it's way more fun than doing a performance.
Oh, I love that. And I was going to say, you said the word immersion. I think you did. You said the word immersion. And again, you were in the Australian hit TV show Blue Heelers, which I used to watch religiously. And when we met, before I recognized your character, I actually recognized the voice. That was the first thing that came to mind. Your voice sounded familiar, right? And eventually I twigged, you're ex-Blue Heelers. That's where it all came from. Now, how do you, as an actress, and I think this is incredible, how do you prepare for a role? How do you prepare for a character? How do you step into the world of a character to deliver such a stellar performance?
Well, you do. The thing is the difference. There's a big difference between preparation and performance. And the preparation is all the conscious stuff. So you work out from the background, create a background for the character, you work out who they are, what their super objective, what their purpose is in life, what their intentions are throughout each scene, which is the driving force through the scene, and all the nuances in a kind of intellectual, conscious way. But when you start acting, you have to not think of any of that. And it feels like free falling, because you can't think before you start. And it's the same with public speaking and speaking on Zoom and interviews and all those sort of things. Where people end up in trouble is that they prepare just before they're about to speak and then go on to be conscious and be thinking about their words, be thinking about their performance, and being conscious. That you have to kind of free fall into it. There's this technique called personalizing from acting, and that gets you to be able to free fall into it and to be always totally yourself, living in the moment.
Wow, I love that. And again, I've never been an actor, and again, I'm learning all this stuff now. I kind of realize, as you said, that I do this subconsciously. I just tend to get into the moment. I just say whatever comes to me. So you're saying it's a bit like this bit when you're presenting to the audience. So you enter, you do your preparation, you do whatever it takes, but when you're on stage, you just enter the moment and go with it. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Absolutely. And that is why you are such a great communicator, because I can see that in you. Because when you're living in the moment and thinking on the spot, even if you know the words, it's interesting because you're living. And you don't know what's going to happen, and therefore other people don't know what's going to happen. That means, which is what makes it exciting, because if you know what you're going to say and how you're going to say it and what you're going to do and when you're going to punch those words and when you're going to back off and when you're going to be strong, then it's so boring for the audience, because you're going through the motions and they may be thinking, oh, they're a very good speaker because you're confident, but as soon as they think that, they'll be thinking, what's for lunch?
Yeah, good. It's funny you bring that up. You know, the first thing that came to mind, and again, you know this better than me, is comedy, right? Now, again, I'm quite an old guy, right? I've lost my hair a long time ago. And when I was like in the 90s, comedians used to be really funny, right? Really edgy. You know, like Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, right? All those guys, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Obviously, I'm trying to censor it for camera. But what I found interesting today is comedians, especially the more lefty comedians, aren't funny anymore. It's just what you said. Like, whenever I see a comedian today, let's say compared to, Chris Rock or, Dave Chappelle or Eddie Murphy, in the old days, comedians would get up and just say cool stuff, where now it's just what you said. You can tell it's all just a manufactured act, can't you?
Yeah, look, I think where there's such, it's probably a lot because of the political correctness, and people are worried about what they're going to say, and it makes us more self-conscious. And also, I think a really big obstacle to people really being themselves in business is about trying to be professional and authoritative and competent and capable and all those sort of things. But really the thing is that we can be all those things and still be ourselves, because our personality, people do business with people. That's it, forever, over and out. And so it's about that, exactly being yourself in a business sense. I mean, sometimes I think the authentic thing they talk about, it sounds like be yourself, like at a barbecue. No.
No. You
don't be all massively relaxed and whatever. It's about you in a business sense. And if you have a passion for what you do, it's letting that passion out. It's being vulnerable, that you care about the people who work for you. You care about your clients. You care about the work. You care about, actually, an acting teacher once said to me, you've got to love the art in you, not you in the art.
Okay, so what do you mean by that? So when you say the art in you, can you expand on that? That's pure gold right there, Dale.
Yeah, so the thing is, the art in you is your passion and your ability to help people, rather than you in the art is you as the artist. You as the performer.
Yeah. It's kind of like going from ego, such as, well, I'm Edward Veer and I'm awesome, to, well, I'm whoever, what about the other person and how can I help them, or how can I deliver a great performance on camera?
That's it. So it's all focused on the other person. So you're talking to one person and you choose who that person is, and then you're focusing on them. And so, yeah, so it goes from a performance to a conversation. Oh. So if I was to do, say, a video and I was going to do a performance, and I'd say, well, communication is really important because it will leverage your career and it will grow your business. And communication is just the thing that you have to have these days. And I can help you with it if you like, because I'm a really great communication coach, and let's go, kind of thing. You do that. But if you did a conversation, just talking to one person, you'd say something like, communication is something that if you can improve it, if you can just get your personality to come out, that will change everything for you. So if you want to do it with me, great. If you want to do it with someone else, that's fine too. But please, 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 just get your personality coming out.
Oh, that's good. I want to go back to a theme that you said before, political correctness and how it impacts, because I deal with this every day, right? Political correctness, and that, like, more in a communication sense, that people are afraid to go on camera because what if you say something wrong and get the Twitter mob onto you or something like that? Now, fortunately, political correctness is gradually leaving our culture. It's come and it came with an absolute disdain, and it's leaving with absolute happiness. What's your advice for people in dealing with political correctness? What are some of the things you should stay away from, and how can you be careful that political correctness doesn't damage your act whilst it not letting it hamper you too much?
Look, that's a great question. And I think you really touched on, I saw your amazing interview with Cullen.
Oh, we love Cullen Haynes. He's a great guy and a very handsome young man too.
Very, very true. Always good, always good. And like with your interview, what you were saying with him, I think is really the key. So it's be positive. And so, and really, and if someone has a go at you, defend your intention. Your intention is that you want to uplift people, that you want to support people, that you want to grow people, that you want to be the best you can be, so that you shine a light in the world, so that you bring a positive aspect to the world. So these are all your intentions. And so if you say something and someone says, oh, well, that says that you're really quite horrible and terrible, well, you just say, well, that wasn't my intention. My intention is this. And if you look at everything else I say, you'll understand my intention.
Oh, that is master persuasion at work. That is gold. I learned something there. You're so spot on, because I suppose anyone from Twitter can pick on a word, they can pick on a sentence, but you're spot on. And I love how you put it. If you're being positive, which we all are, and that's what we're all saying, you've got to be positive and bring people up. Even if you say the wrong word, if you just stick to the, hey, my intentions were pure, they ain't got nothing on you.
Yeah, and look, I'm a big fan of this whole intention thing. That's another acting tool, is to focus on your actions, like to excite, to promote, to unite. And I think that if we talk about our intentions, then we can say, well, the outcome wasn't what we wanted. So we can adjust what we're doing. But that's talking about communication, and whether communication works, not whether anyone's bad, mean, and horrible, and good and fabulous and virtuous. It goes into, okay, so if that was your intention, okay, well, I mean, if people pick tiny things out of your video, you're probably never going to be able to really do anything with that, because, unless they want to. But if you could say to them, well, that was my intention. If that didn't work, let's talk more so that we can actually get on the same page, and I'll try and explain it to you differently, so that the communication works.
Oh, I love it. I got another tricky question for you. Gotcha questions, right? People try and ask you a gotcha question where, the false dichotomy, where they sort of give two false options and try and pin you into answering that false dichotomy. And regardless of what you pick, they can then pin something on you. How do you push back against a gotcha question? So let's say you're in an interview. The other person interviewing you is not interviewing you in the best faith, and they ask you a gotcha question. What are some of your strategies for getting out of that and reframing the conversation the way you want?
Oh, well, this actually happened to me big time.
Tell us everything.
Big time. I was on this a Zoom call, and I was presenting, and one of the questions basically, and my whole thing was that the power of the spoken word. I thought it was fairly uncontroversial, and
that sounds pretty uncontroversial, but I'm sure they found something, didn't they, Dale?
Yes, they did. So, everyone's quite supportive, and then this guy said, well, Yeah, that's kind of old hat, because these days it's all tech, and there's this guy who's an introvert and he can't communicate with anyone, and he's the boss of all this, and not really. It's not really your stuff. Basically, you're saying that your stuff is old hat and not much value.
Wow. Okay. So absolutely slammed you on the call, right? So was this like in the Zoom chat while you were speaking? Was it like that, or did he verbally go after you?
Verbally.
Okay. So how did you put the slime ball back in his basement where he belongs?
Well, I don't know where it came from. God, clearly. I just went, yeah, look, I don't really understand the tech thing. Not my area. But as far as the power of the spoken word, I just find with my own clients that, one of them got 3 million views for her TED talk, and she's had $1.3 trillion moved out of tobacco investment because of the power of her spoken word. So it's working really well for some people, basically.
Got it. So I can see the way you framed the insult. So you insulted him. So through framing, you went back to Dale and said, well, I did this. I got this change over here. And you know what? For some people, they're just not good at it, implying that he's a loser. Clever.
Well, and all I was doing was I wasn't actually attacking him at all. All I was doing was saying, here's an example from my own experience. I don't know, I might have mentioned another. Actually, I think there was another woman who I coached who was instrumental in her company being one of 30 companies at the UN for sustainable development. That was a pretty big achievement. I think I mentioned that as well. So I just went bam, bam.
Yeah, so that's like, I coached someone to do TEDx or TED or whatever and won, and someone's at the UN and you're calling me a loser. I get it. Yeah. So you're framing, he would have been embarrassed. So you would have humiliated the loser, and he deserves it, because how dare he? I'm going to sound like Greta Thunberg. How dare you? How dare you? Is that a good Greta? I've been working on my Greta. Is that good?
That's good. That's
how dare you
good.
insult Dale? So I like it. I like how you did it.
Yeah, well, it just came to me. I just dug in my heels and just went, whatever you think, whatever your experience, this is my experience. This is the stuff that I see, and this is close to my heart. These people are close to my heart, and they've done amazing things.
So I like the way you argued it, and again, for our wonderful and attractive viewers around the world. So he set up this argument that was just very toxic, and basically, I suppose, trying to be objective for the moment. Obviously, we're friends off camera and I'm on your side, but I'll try and be devil's advocate for the moment. He set up this argument saying, you don't know what you're talking about. It's all old news, and technology replaced everything. So he set up this weird narrative. And I suppose you came in over top and overlaid this new narrative going, no, we've changed the world through doing this, and you're a weirdo and you can't grasp what I'm saying because you're too dumb, is kind of what you implied.
Yes. We've been
like that.
Perfectly positive and perfectly nice, and just speaking very calmly.
Got it. So the way you were able to control its situation was what you said. So you stayed positive, you kept calm, but you insulted him without directly insulting him. That's gold, Dale.
Yes. So that's the thing. So you and at the end of the day, I suppose it's so interesting what you're saying, because what it really is ignoring the false narrative, not really answering it, and speaking your truth.
Yeah.
Speaking the truth.
I like what you said about false narrative, and I'm just being honest with you and the audience. I've been more because obviously I'm a political operative. I've been tripped up in a few conversations where people throw up a false narrative, and I don't pick it. Then I get sucked into the false narrative, and then they win. They suck you into this false narrative, and you argue in that false narrative, and then they destroy you. Whereas what you're saying, if you see that weird narrative come up, you don't get involved with it. You overlay your superior narrative as a message. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Look, absolutely. But I think that the first thing that really helped for me to say is, I don't understand tech. So you go, I don't understand what you're saying.
Good. So I have no idea what you're talking about because you're wrong, and you're just like a loser and you're dumb. But this is how reality works. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So with anything, you can just say, look, I don't understand where you're coming from, implying there is no logic. And
and then your friend, I just want to make this point on camera. Dale, I'm your friend. I want to remain on your side. I'll do whatever it takes to stay on your side. I just want to say that on camera. I never ever want to cross you. I just want to make that point.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, you will never cross me because you are logical. Your arguments are logical and well thought into when you care about people. That's gold. That's perfect. Then it's just like we're just talking about details, really.
Gotcha. So if someone throws at you a weird, like a strange, incorrect logic, the key is not engaging with it and then pushing back and superimposing the correct logic that you can obviously justify, which you can.
Definitely. So it's almost like, oh, did I hear a voice? I don't know what that was.
Yeah, mosquito. What was that? You like that? You got it.
Yeah. I hope this guy never watches this, I tell you, but because he did actually ask to speak to me, like talk to me later to talk about it.
Oh, so come on. Obviously, don't name the guy because then he'll then file a complaint against us. But well, tell us more, Dale. What did this weirdo who obviously hates women do?
Well,
let's call him a sexist. That's called labeling. He's a sexist misogynist who hates women. There you go. Is that good?
Edward, when were we going to stay positive?
Sorry, and continue. Tell the story. This is awesome. This is it. Now let's ignore positivity. Let's gossip. Tell me more. This is an awesome story. Everyone's going to love this on LinkedIn. And if you're watching from across the world, smash that like, comment, and share. Dale's awesome. Sorry, continue, Dale. This is great.
Oh dear, I've forgot what it now. No, he just rang up and tried to convince me that he was right, and I knew.
Really? So he not only trashed you on a Zoom, he then had the audacity to then ring you up and say, "Oh, because I failed to convince you you're a moron in front of everyone, I'm just here to tell you that you're a moron." And what did Mr. I Hate Successful Women then say to you?
Oh, look, I can't go into I just enough. It's okay. It was okay. It was fine. And I mean, look, I didn't mind. And look, in retrospect, I sort of do feel like I won the argument. So.
It's funny, actually. You remind me of an interesting experience that I had. This is actually sort of last year when I sort of started taking off as an influencer. There was this guy that was trolling me on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, you don't get many trolls on LinkedIn, so they kind of stick out on LinkedIn. Anyway, someone was trolling me on LinkedIn, and then I just did typical. It was a bit vulgar, and it was just too much. So I just deleted and blocked the guy, as you do, and then. He then emailed me saying, "Why did you delete and block me?" and kept trying to troll me over email. And I'm like, what's wrong with some people, Dale? Like, what goes through their heads, if anything?
Well, I think it's a bit sad because I think that that people can feel powerless and insignificant and maybe sometimes obsolete as people get older. And what they don't realise is that everyone is fascinating. You don't have to have hung out with famous people. You don't have to have had 100 million businesses or whatever you've done, or all these things are kind of irrelevant. And everyone's made an image of God. Everyone's fascinating. And if these are the type of things to get in the way of people being fascinating. This guy was a fascinating guy, but he had all this ego and stuff stopping it coming out. He'd achieved things in his life that were really valuable, and he has value. He has really great value, but he was just not letting it out. And it's just another obstacle. Sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's lack of techniques, sometimes lack of opportunity, sometimes they've been given too much opportunity and maybe should have been given less.
Yeah.
So that's what I think it is. And so the people that are trolling, it's trying to lift themselves up into being something more than they are, where what they are is valuable people made in the image of God, and they just don't know that. So they try and be something that they're not, whereas what they really are deep down is inherently valuable.
Well, you are such a noble lady, Dale. I'm not going to say what I think on camera about those sorts of people because the video will get taken down. But I got to say, your nobility, you are as pure and white as snow is all I can say. And just on that note from what you're saying, when okay, let's say you're speaking and someone heckles you or give you a hard time, how do you keep your energy up? How do you make sure, especially when you're starting out, how do you make their negative energy not pull you down? How do you still sort of stay on top of the trolls and the hecklers?
Look, I think it comes back to that being unself-conscious. So you're focusing on your message and you're focusing on who you're talking to, and so you're so in love with it. What you're doing is that it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Look, deal with it, don't deal with it, whatever. I mean, so what? I mean, as long as they don't stop you from speaking.
So you're saying, and I guess this is your advice to everyone, is you got to be so in love with your audience and so in love with your message that nothing deters you.
That's exactly right. And so, but you still have to be unself-conscious. So you have to be so focused on your audience, so much having a conversation with them that you don't worry about yourself or worry about your performance or worry about anything really. So it's a laser focus on them, but being unself-conscious yourself. So if you're living in the moment, then you're so busy having this conversation with someone. I mean, imagine if one of your best friends was going through a really, really hard time and they really needed you. And say you're sitting in a cafe that was quite fairly noisy, and you're sitting there talking to them, and you know they need you, and you know they need you to listen, that they need your support, maybe even a little bit of advice, and you're in there talking to them. Now, if someone comes up and says, oh, I know you, Edward Zia, either they're saying, you're fabulous, I love you, or they're going, I don't like you, I think that you're terrible. Well, really, are you going to go, oh no, that's thrown me. I don't know. I can't speak to my friend. You go, look, thanks so much, but I can talk to you later. I need to talk to my friend.
Yeah, I got you. You're saying, and I love where you're going. So the cure for self-consciousness and all that insecurity is being so in love with your audience. In this case, for example, your crying friend whose boyfriend dumped her yesterday at the cafe, and just being so focused on what you're doing that all the insecurity disappears.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so this acting technique that I've got, which is personalizing, is how people get into it. And once and you can either do it or you don't. You're either in the moment or you're not. And you don't get better at it, you get more consistent at it, so that you're always doing it. But once it's literally you're either, because now neurobiologically there's something, and I think it's like, I don't know whether it's right brain, left brain, but you've got a critical brain and you've got your creative brain. So your critical brain is going, oh, what did I say that? Oh, gosh, I don't know. Oh, what will I say next? Oh, gee, that wasn't very good. That wasn't good. I don't think that was good. Do people like me? I don't think people like me. I think that people love me. Gee, that was good. Oh, my gosh, that was great. Oh, gee, I'm going to get so much work out of this. I am fantastic. Oh, no. What am I saying next? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I think it's awful. I think I'm worse than other people. I'm not better than other people. I don't know. People like me. People like me. People not like me.
Yeah, that's not good. You're right. We've got to keep that voice quiet, don't we?
Well, silent.
Yeah.
That voice has to be silent, because your creative brain goes, oh, what could I say for them? I could say this for them. That'd be helpful. Yeah. Oh, I could say it like this. Oh, that'd be more helpful for them. What else could I tell them? I think I could tell them this. Oh, yes, that would be great. Oh, aren't they wonderful? Yes, how could I help them? Oh, what are they about? Oh, yes, I think that's, and so your creative brain is like playing in the moment. And that's so much fun.
Wow. Dale, I got to say, I love where you're going. And as we bring this epic interview to its legendary conclusion, I just want to ask you, what are some of your tips for people to become master persuaders and master communicators going into the new post-corona world?
Absolutely. So firstly, get videoing. Apparently only 1% of people on LinkedIn do video. Start doing it. Your focus really needs to be more you. So you are your greatest asset. Your personality is your greatest asset. And it's also how far you develop it is going to be the ceiling. So be more you, do video, and talk to one person when you're doing it. But develop you, be more you. Your personality is the key to everything.
Oh, Dale, so well said. And for our wonderful viewers around the world, again, this video is going to be seen thousands of times. How can people hire you and get in contact with you, Dale?
Well, I'm mostly on LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn, Dale Stevens on LinkedIn. I live on LinkedIn, as you do too.
It's an honourable pleasure. And Dale, I just want to say a big thank you. And for our friends around the world, please like, share, and comment this video. Get in contact with Dale. She's an absolutely amazing lady. And Dale, I want to give the final word to you. What are some of your closing thoughts and the final words you have for our wonderful viewers across the world?
Absolutely. So everyone is fascinating. That is just a truth. We're made in the image of God and we are inherently valuable. If you develop yourself to express that personality and that preciousness that's inside you, people will be drawn to you, and you'll have your own tribe, and you'll have all the work you need, and everything will go brilliantly from there.